Hello everyone, welcome back to the Beginner's Guide to Supporting SMITE. This will be the least currently final episode. I'm going to be discussing Arena. I'm going to bookend it with Kepri, and also there's a very particular point I want to make about specifically Gauntlet of Thebes and other future support stacking items, just in case this video, ages past the point where we have more of these type items. But when you're considering building Gauntlet of Thebes as a support in Arena, keep in mind that the team fights start immediately and are nearly constant. It is almost always some kind of team fight going on in Arena, and so you really want to be careful with that whole thing, because you just need to be really tanky very quickly in Arena. And while it is true that you can stack fairly quickly with the minion waves as they are, at least with Gauntlet of Thebes you can, you want to play it pretty safe, and you want to have a Guardian that's really good at counter-initiating, such as Kepri. Kepri additionally provides the happy benefit of his passive providing bonus HP, so he's really good at being able to stack Gauntlet of Thebes should you choose to go into it. In this particular case, it looks like I will be. They have 3 sources of magic damage, they have 2 sources of physical, plus the physical from the minions, so Gauntlet of Thebes will provide a really good balance of protections for my teammates. Furthermore, the enemy team is not that high in damage. Their early game damage is going to be okay. Sylvanas and Geb have decent early game damage output, but in the late game, because they do have 2 Guardians, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for them to bust out large quantities of damage as compared to a 2-mage comp, for instance. So the very first thing we're going to do, looking at our composition, we don't really need 4 flags, so we're going to go right to Sentinel's Gift, because we do want that. For the gold, mostly. This is mostly for the gold, and at least some spike in protections. You're really not going to need to worry too much about your health at this point.
Yeah, hey.
You're just basically going to be hanging around until you get to 1750, which is why we aren't building any consumables here. If you're building a regular, pretty much anything that doesn't stack, is obviously a little different. You don't necessarily need to be quite so worried about it. You can go and get some consumables if you want. You don't usually in Arena. Sometimes you'll build more potions to stay on the front a little bit longer, but not all the time. Give over a shot. That's fine. You just want to protect Sylvanas' seeds there. Make sure it doesn't pick them up. They can get out of hand very quickly. That was a good one. No, you seem to be doing alright here. There we go. Yep. See, counter-initiation. He initiated badly onto Cerberus, and I was able to counter-initiate him there, which is exactly what you want out of your Guardian if you're planning on building Gauntlet of Thebes.
One less opponent that can stop us.
Well, I have my ult, so you should be okay.
Double kill.
I'll make sure he's okay.
An ally has been slain.
Enough gold for this, unfortunately.
Eliminations.
For the gauntlet that I need. So we'll pop out for a second, help with one more wave, and then probably go back. There's a lot of minions here. Throw that down lane, start walking back. We'll have to go by the time we get back there. Exactly, look at that. Excellent. Alright, so now we're going to start building our stacks. We're still going to be playing very safe. We're still looking to counter-initiate, at least until those stacks are up. I am going to be looking to do pretty heavy core botting in this particular match, because I think that'll really mess up the enemy's ability to inflict damage. I really don't expect to be building a lot of penetration. Overall, again, they are a tank-heavy comp, so their tanks don't usually build a whole lot of penetrations, so I do expect that a very nice... I'll walk right into that for a reason, by the way. It was a bad initiation by the Sylvanas. I recognize that his team was nowhere near close enough to him to be able to actually make anything out of that, and by letting him pull me in, I was able to grab him right afterwards. That was intentional. Walking into that. He very badly telegraphed that, which you may not have realized necessarily if you're not a huge Sylvanas player, but for those Sylvanas mains, they know. That was very, very badly telegraphed. That was very obvious. So I walked into it so I could grab him very quickly, because I think only Chalk was out. He wasn't gonna really do much. He could have silenced me out of it, but he still would have gotten a lot of damage on Sylvanas initiated that I probably should not have. Yeah, that's probably not the move.
Such potential wasted.
That was a bad initiation. I should not have initiated there. The last two counter initiations, I got really cocky, basically. But I was able to save service, so that's something at least. We're gonna go right for the Heart Ward Amulet. I'm not really expecting to need a whole lot of anti-healing yet. Their healing is going to be very weak at this point. I'm not too concerned about it. I'll want to build Heart Ward, then Sovereignty, and then I'll probably build... If I had to take a guess, I think I'm going to go for Pesty. I think that would be my best option. Finish up with a nice... Let's play with Valor, I think. The ideal here. He's too far up, they've got nothing to go around. Almost fully stacked Gauntlet, which is really, really nice. Nah, I shouldn't have done that. As soon as I did the dash, I knew that was a mistake.
An enemy has been
They picked up, though,
slain.
which is fairly interesting. The enemy was probably mostly focused on my goof. Response.
One less opponent that can stop us. An enemy has been slain.
Make sure that he's not gonna make it out, is he? He's gonna do his auto shot. No, he's not. Alright. I'm not really interested in fighting you right now, Gib. He beats that. Alright. That's fine.
Yes.
Back up. I need to get Heart Ward. I'm running out of mana as well. And there we go. And we can start Sov. Excellent. Go on, Sylvanas, pull me in again. I know you want to. My team is right here. We're farther advanced as you are. Come on. Red's just going to initiate over there. What I'm going to try to do is make sure that the
Their rampage won't cease.
I don't have a shot.
One less opponent that can stop us. Double bite deletion. Triple kill.
Okay, I really couldn't do anything about
Our
that.
will is unstoppable.
Very
Double
nice.
kill.
Trying to keep an eye on everyone's health. Serve looking really low. Okay. We're okay. Well, it's not okay. You're not going to do anything with Tributes.
Thanks.
Not fret.
Is he mad? He might be.
I am the immune. Welcome.
Alright, now I'm going to want to get Blink at this point because I am going to want to have some pretty aggressive initiation
Enough of them. Thanks.
here at this
Light
point.
up
I've
my
got my full auras now.
That's right.
So pretty
Unleash
soon
the
I'll want
beast.
once I start working on Pestilence, I'm gonna really want to be aggressive about this. Back it up. You sure did. You did.
An enemy has been slain.
Is Geb chasing? No, that's Sylvanas chasing. I had no reason to push that. Body block this. Oh.
enemy has been slain.
I don't really want to push this right now. I only just recently got my auras. We don't have Triptis. So I'm really just not thinking that an attack right now is a pretty good idea. We have to end. We don't have what we need right now to actually aggress. Alright, so now we're gonna start working on Pesty. Excellent. Okay. I do believe they have they're in it for the kicks now, I think. Because they're not doing very well. LinkedIn? Some sort of really nicely kind of jump.
Their rampage won't cease.
Very nice.
One less opponent that can stop us.
Good. They'll be fine. I'm just trying to keep deadbuffing them so they can escape.
Their rampage won't
Shockwave, and that would have been
cease.
really bad for me right there. Oh,
Is this
yes.
The
I didn't even
divine.
know she was using that. That was just happy coincidence. You're fine. That's not I really don't like how close Rat's getting to this.
An enemy has been slain.
I dodged that win because I had my abilities up high. I wouldn't have been able to do anything with that.
Elimination. Our will is unstoppable.
I got it. Nice. Doesn't matter. He's up there with me. Let's see if we can do anything with this. You're mad at me now. Okay, that was a good play.
One less opponent that can stop us.
Oh, that was close. He almost hit me with that for free, which is not what I wanted there. Yeah, we're gonna stay up here. No, Rat should have it. I was gonna say we're gonna stay up and see if we can slow down that mini wave, but Rat's got it. That's not even a problem. Go for Breastplate of Valor. Make sure we have our abilities up as frequently as possible. Never mind, the enemy is surrendered. I'm gonna go ahead and upload this though, despite it being a surrender, simply because it was such an excellent example of really how you should be treating Arena as a support. I mean, the late game of Arena is basically the same as the early game. People just have, you know, more items and stuff. So it's not really that big of a deal either way, you know, getting to late game or the early game. Really, again, for the early game, if you're gonna go for that Gauntlet of Thebes, you really want to be counter-initiating. You don't want to be going in there until you've got your Gauntlet of Thebes stacked. You'll notice the one time I did go in before Gauntlet of Thebes was fully stacked, people died, right? It was the one really bad fight we had was when I went in before Thebes was stacked because I had to get out early because I didn't have the protections I needed at the time, right? So with, again, under the condition of Gauntlet of Thebes, counter-initiate. If you're a more aggressive Guardian, say you're playing Cerberus but you're playing support, then maybe you go for more initiation, right? But it was just such a beautiful example of supporting an arena. Supporting an arena is definitely the simplest. And if you are not insistent on starting in Conquest, I would start here in Arena because it very quickly exemplifies the limits that you'll have with various items and how significant protections can be and how painful penetration can be. It will teach you how to properly deal with team fights. So if you are a consistent Conquest player and you're having trouble in the late game with Conquest with the team fights, I would recommend practicing here in Arena because it's almost 100% team fights and you'll really quickly figure out what to do and what not to do in those conditions. So just keep that in mind. Arena is definitely the most challenging mode to play support in. And I don't say this lightly. The problem with Arena from a support perspective is the team fights start before you've really been able to actually engage your protections. You don't have very much in the way of defense by the time the team fights start, because once everyone claims their buffs on their sides, the two teams meet in the middle, and at that point it's basically just poking each other until somebody goofs, basically. And then once somebody does goof, it's full-on war. It's an out-and-out full team fight every time. And that can be very difficult for supports who, you know, maybe you're new with that particular character. Maybe you're new to the role. Maybe you're trying something new. Any number of things, but suddenly you're thrust into this roughly 5v5, give or take a person, depending on the situation, and you haven't got all your protections up yet, so it can be very difficult. So definitely play the early game a bit safer, particularly if you're going for Gauntlet of Thebes, if you're not some kind of Guardian or otherwise some kind of support that does pretty impressive damage. Cerberus would be a great Guardian to go aggressive with. If you're playing a support Guan Yu, he would be a great aggressive candidate, etc., etc. Athena does a pretty good amount of damage, although she's also really good at counter initiation as well, but that's beside the point. But that's how you basically run Arena, right? It's very straightforward. There's very little to think about. There's just keep your allies alive, pick the target that either looks the weakest or can't get away or is too separated from their allies for some reason. Like that Sylvanas that I grabbed when I let him pull me. That Sylvanas pull that I allowed to hit me. That was a great opportunity. He did most of my initiation for me. So that's really what we're talking about here with support Arena. I know this is a short episode, but Arena isn't, again, Arena's very straightforward and simplified, which is great. It's a fantastic mode. I spent ages playing this. I still play this quite frequently. But yeah, that will be for now the SMITE Beginner's Guide to Support. I will now be moving on to a Beginner's Guide to Solo, and then probably progress to Jungler, then ADC, and then Mid. So next episode will actually be the Beginner's Guide to Solo Lane. So you have that to look forward to, but this is the Beginner's Guide to Support. If you like this, please like and subscribe. If you didn't, please ignore me. Thank you all very much for joining me, and if you have any comments, questions, concerns, ideas, suggestions, or requests, please leave them down in the comment section below, and have a great 24 hours.